The video you're about to see might have to do with music theory. Don't worry, it's way simpler than you think, I promise you. Let me prove it to you with my free Music Theory DNA course, which is going to put you on the right path to learning those hard to understand concepts in a super easy and healthy way. Check out guitarinfusion.com, enter your best email address. I'll be sending you that free course right away. But for now, let's get into the video. Today, we are going to talk about improvisation. Improvisation in multiple keys and improvisation with no backing tracks. And this is, I think, going to help you master the color of the modes and see them maybe a little bit differently than you might be used to seeing them. A lot of players see modes as different positions that follow each other on the fretboard. You know what I'm talking about. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, and so forth. And there's so much more that we could do with that. And today is the day you're going to learn, well, you're going to learn all that. Grab your guitar, I'll meet you right after this. Hi, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players like you find your voice on the instrument, develop it to tell your own personal musical story. I covered modes quite a bit on this channel, a lot, maybe a little too much, but there's always room for one more modal video, and this is the one. And today we're gonna break free from maybe seeing modes as positions that follow each other. They do follow each other. That's how modes were born. You know, if I take a G major, G Ionian, we have the G Ionian mode. And then the second mode is a Dorian mode, so A Dorian, Phrygian, and so forth. And the problem with that approach is that soon you realize that all those modes are related to each other, so why not just memorize one position and then you've got all the modes covered. It's a valid observation. It's true that you could do it that way, but if you do it that way, your music is always going to be influenced by the position you're playing in. So if you learn, one position and always go back to that position, your fingers are going to start to target the same notes over and over, and you're not really going to view those scales as formulas, which are, I think, essential if you want to target the notes that you want to target instead of targeting the notes that your fingers want to target. So today we're going to break that, and it's really going to develop your ear for the color of the modes, which is really essential. Being able to hear those modes is very, very important. You know what? This is weird. Look at this one. A little more dynamic. I'm trying new things with three cameras. So we're going to try to blend these modes together. When I say modes, I'm talking about scales, alphabets, musical alphabets. And that will help you be in control of your music. So every mode, every scale, every formula is made of different intervals, and that's what gives the color of the mode. So if, for example, I'm playing in the key of E, I'm playing an E Dorian mode, for example. That's the color, right? And these notes are all attracted to the root, which is played by the bass player usually, but I'll play that root here. Gives you a color. very different color from an Ionian, E Ionian. Right? And if you really want to bring the color of these modes, it's important to start these modes over the same pedal tone, in this case, low E string. That way you can really differentiate these modes from the others. Right? And that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to consider that you know some positions. You need at least 2. The more you know, the better, I guess. But we're going to start with just a few. And we're going to work in the same zone of the fretboard. That's really important, because if you start jumping around the fretboard, it's kind of harder to visualize which note you're on at first, the interval that you're targeting. And that's really important when you're doing this kind of exercise. So what we're going to do here is start in one zone of the fretboard, and we'll pick a narrow zone of the fretboard because it's going to be easier to target the notes that we want, the intervals that you want. Visually, it's going to make more sense to fit those scales with the chords that you're dealing with. So the zone of the fretboard we'll use here is maybe this one. Right here, we'll make it simple, between frets 12 and 15. And by the way, if you want to download all the charts that we're going to use, you can do that for free. The link is below. But do that after the lesson. Watch this so that you know what to do with these charts. So we've got this zone of the fretboard right here between frets 12 and 15. Okay, that fits nicely. You know, our first position of minor pentatonic scale, our first position of major pentatonic, and so forth. And we're going to pick 2 modes. We'll pick the Dorian mode and the Mixolydian mode. Those modes kind of work in pair because they fit the same kind of musical genre. They're very close to each other. Dorian, Mixolydian, one is minor, one is major. Dorian works on a minor chord, Mixolydian on a major chord. They're kind of like funk, blues, rock type thing, modern scales. And that's what we'll do in the same zone of the fretboard. So first, let's look at the positions. The Dorian mode is right here. Frets 12, 14, 15, 12, 14, 11, 12, 14, 11, 12, 14, 12, 14, 15, and 12, 14, 15. So before doing the full exercise, make sure that you're really comfortable with the position you're using. And then the Mixolydian has the same root, because we're going to work in E here. And we're going to start on the low E string, frets 12, 14, followed by 11, 12, 14, 11, 12, 14, 11, 13, 14, 12, 14, 15, and 12, 14. So those 2 modes are going to be the ones that we're going to use here. And we're going to start with Dorian. We're going to start improvising with no tempo, no backing track. We're just kind of free form playing type of thing. And then at some point, I will give you the cue, and we're going to transition to Mixolydian. And what's important is to mentally visualize the mode you're transitioning to, and as we're transitioning, try to continue the musical idea that you started and finish it in the new mode. So that's what we're going to do right now. So the exercise might sound something like this. I'm starting in E Dorian. I'm establishing the color. And it's important to remember that silences are really important in music. I'm not just, playing that scale. I'm trying to be musical. Repeating notes is a good way to buy you some time. A little bit of chromatic if you want. And we'll make the transition right here. See, there are some notes that are common between both of these modes. You're always going to have at least one common note because we're playing in E. The root is that common note. And let's transition again to Dorian. So that's how it sounds like for the Dorian and Mixolydian. Let's now pair 2 other modes, and we'll do maybe Aeolian, which is a minor mode, it works on a minor chord, and Ionian. The formulas of these modes is, for the Ionian one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Aeolian, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6. flat 7. Okay, let's give that a try. Here we go. We'll start in the same zone of the fretboard here between frets 12 and 15. Let's start with Ionian, major. You're playing enough to establish that color. And then Aeolian. Same, and that's what creates that kind of exercise that makes it very valuable, because we're focusing on the same root note, which is E. So still in the Aeolian, get a sense of the color, and back to Ionian. Let's see if you can guess which mode we're in here between Ionian and Aeolian. That is the Ionian. Here's the transition. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's move on to the next step, where we are going to consider, we're going to pretend, maybe that's the case, that you know all the modes, that you know a lot. So at least we'll pick from the church modes: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Aeolian, Mixolydian, and Locrian. Okay? So let's give that a try. I'm going to guide you through it. We'll start with Ionian. You're really trying to establish that color here. We're not thinking in terms of licks, but in terms of notes. It's the Mixolydian. Aeolian. Lydian. Locrian. And Ionian. Okay, anyways, that's the exercise. It's very, very valuable. It helps you discover new things. It helps your ears a lot, because you're playing over the same virtual, or not, if you're playing over a backing track, just a knee on the bass, or if you have a bass player friend who's bored, just have them play E's or A's or B's or whatever, and force yourself to establish a mood in one mode and then discover something else in the other one. That's what I have for you today. It's really, really very practical, and will really help your playing a lot, I think. You can download the charts for this lesson all in the same zone here. This has to do with the cage system, yes. And all in that zone in E, you'll have Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. And rewatch this video with the charts in front of you. That'll be very helpful, I think. Thank you very much for watching this video. If this was your first visit, you should subscribe, because every week I have 3 videos like this one coming out, helping guitar players like you find your voice on the instrument, develop it to tell your own personal musical story. Music is a language worth exploring. You have something very unique and beautiful to say. Let's spend time learning how to most efficiently say it. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you next time. Practice well.